Do you know what an NPC is in a video game? A non-playable character. In Skyrim, one of the greatest open world ever made, the NPCs are legendary. Not because they're interesting, because they're stuck in a loop. The Whiterun guards walk the same path, say the same lines every day, every single day.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Every single time. Fun fact, an arrow in the knee is not that he was injured in battle. The meaning of an arrow in the knee was that he got married. The NPCs don't initiate, they don't explore, they stay in the same spot, waiting for something external to happen, before they react. I have a question for you right now, and I want you to be honest with me. Are you in NPC mode right now? Because if you're sitting here, waiting for the casting to arrive, waiting for the agent to call, waiting for the industry to tell you it's your turn, you're in the NPC mode. Your brain is literally running an NPC loop. Same path, same lines, same spot. Waiting for the player to interact with you before you move. And today, I'm going to show you what an NPC loop looks like in your brain, what it does to you neurologically, and how to break it. Because here's what the neuroscience says. Passive waiting is not neutral. It's not rest, it's not patience. It's an active process of erosion. And the actors who last, the ones who build real careers over decades, are not the ones who waited the best. They are the ones who broke the loop. Before we begin, hi, I'm Ivan Mader, and you are on the Act Club podcast. If you want to take action right now, you have a great power in your hand, and there is a small action that you can do right now. You can hit subscribe and allow the notification so you can support the channel and help me help you. Well, let's begin. Let's start with what waiting does neurologically to you. Because it's not neutral, and the NPC analogy is more accurate than it sounds. When you're not taking action, when you're waiting, ruminating, scrolling, planning without executing, a specific brain network activates. It's called the default mode network, but as we are friends, let's call it the DMN. Think of the DMN as your NPC mode. It's the program that runs when nothing external is demanding your attention, when you're not focused on a task, not engaged with the world, not moving toward anything. It's the loop your brain runs by default. And just like an NPC in Skyrim, it generates the same lines over and over again. Except the lines aren't "I used to be an adventurer like you." The lines are "When are they going to call me?" "Every time is the same." "No one is ever going to call me." "It's never gonna work." "I'm not good enough." "I'm not lucky enough." "I don't know anybody." Just to be clear, the DMN is not your enemy. It has an important function in memory, creativity, and self-function. But when it runs unchecked, when passive waiting gives it all the time it needs, it doesn't generate neutral thoughts. It generates the exact mechanism we explore from episode 26 to episode 33. Fear blocking creativity, identity that resists expansion, jealousy turned inward, fear of success, imposter syndrome. All of it feeds on the DMN in overdrive. And here's the critical neuroscience. Action, even small action, switches the brain from default mode network to task positive network, TPN. The network of focused attention, external engagement, and purposeful execution. If the DMN is NPC mode, the TPN is player mode. You're no longer in the same spot waiting for the casting to interact with you. You're the Dragonborn. You're moving through the world. You're initiating. You're building. These two networks are anti-correlated. When one is active, the other one goes quiet. You cannot be in active DMN rumination and focus purposeful action at the same time. Every proactive action you take is a neurological vote for player mode instead of NPC mode. It's not just career progress, it's brain architecture. But here's why breaking the loop is hard. Because the brain is not neutral on this. It doesn't see action or inaction as equal options. It systematically prefers inaction. And the reason is documented in neuroscience. It's called temporal discounting. The brain systematically devalues future rewards instead of immediate comfort. fMRI studies show that when people make decisions involving future rewards, there is a war between the two systems. The prefrontal cortex, the CEO of the brain, the decision maker, and the limbic system, the emotional hub, processing pain and pleasure. When the limbic system wins, and it often does, the brain chooses the comfort of the present instead of the investment of the future. The NPC loop is comfortable. Standing in your spot requires no risk of rejection, no exposure, no judgment. Breaking the loop involves all those things. In 2024, a study confirmed what neuroscientists had long hypothesized. People who devalue future rewards more steeply, who have steeper temporal discounting, procrastinate more. It's not laziness, it's a neurological preference for the known comfort over the uncertain discomfort of action. For an actor specifically, updating your spotlight profile doesn't get you a role today. Working a scene without an audition schedule doesn't get you a casting today. Reaching out to a director whose work you admire doesn't get you a meeting today. The reward is delayed. And the brain's temporal discounting mechanism actively works against delayed rewards. This is why the NPC loop feels natural. The brain is literally designed to stay in it. The question is now, what do you do with that knowledge? And this is where the video game analogy gets very precise. NPCs don't break the loop because the game doesn't give them the ability to do so. But you're not an NPC. You have a prefrontal cortex that can override the limbic system preference for comfort. You have the ability to be the player. The question is whether you want to use it or not. And here's where the neuroscience becomes a tool instead of just an explanation. Dopamine! Yeah, we've talked about it a lot through all of my episodes. Today it comes back in a very specific way. The critical insight from neuroscience. It's not the reward itself that drives behavior. It's the anticipation of it. Dopamine spikes in anticipation, not just at completion. When you take an action to move toward a goal, even a small action, dopamine releases. And that dopamine release makes the next action more likely. Smaller, more frequent actions create stronger neural pathways than big actions. Each micro success activates the reward system, creating an upward spiral of momentum. The brain doesn't distinguish between small victories and massive achievements. Each micro win activates the same reward circuitry. Think about what this means for the NPC mode. The NPC doesn't get dopamine from standing still. No anticipation, no reward signal, no momentum. The loop just runs. But the moment you take one proactive action, however small, you inject dopamine into the system. And dopamine is the opposite of the NPC loop. It says this path is worth taking. Keep moving. Amon the Brain, the neuroscientist, has a perfect phrase for it. Start small and send it. Start small and send it. The power is not in the size of the action, it's in the act of starting. Because starting releases dopamine. Dopamine creates momentum. Momentum makes the next action easier, and the action after easier still. The opposite is also true. Inaction doesn't just fail to build momentum, it actively depletes dopamine. The longer you stay in NPC mode without acting, the harder it becomes to break the loop. Not because you're less capable, because the neurological momentum has gone cold. Bob Proctor understood this perfectly. Act on your idea 24 hours before your mind talks you out of it. That 24-hour window is real neurologically. The anticipatory dopamine spike is limited in time. If you don't act on this idea, the brain moves on, the momentum is lost, and the NPC loop reclaims its territory. And I like what Gary Vee said. Ideas are worthless without execution. Done is better than perfect. Not as motivation as neuroscience. Because a done in perfect action builds a neural pathway. A perfect unexecuted idea builds nothing. It just feeds the DMN. And as you know, I always talk from experience, my own experience. The ACT Club didn't start because I had a lot of time, a lot of resources, and a clear plan. It started because I was in NPC mode, waiting for the agents, waiting for the casting, waiting. But it wasn't just me, it was all of my friends, all of the other actors on social media who were going on the same NPC loop. Waiting, doubting, complaining. And I wanted to do something for them, something useful, something real. So I decided to break the loop, not to wait for someone to give me a platform to build one. It was a proactive action taken during a time of waiting. And you know what? The ACT Club is one of the best decisions I ever made, because it changed me. It kept me in player mode. It kept the dopamine flowing. It kept my identity oriented toward expansion instead of contraction. But here's what I didn't expect. The act of building something for others broke my own NPC loop. Because when the mission is bigger than you, when you're building something that serves other people, the brain has a different relationship with the discomfort of action. We talked about this in episode 29 with Lewis Howes and Aristotle. The meaningful mission changes how the amygdala calculates the risk. Now let's get concrete. Because proactive action for an actor is not vague, there are 4 specific domains where you can take action right now, today, regardless of whether you have an agent, a casting, or an audition schedule. And for each one, I want you to think, what's the one small action I could take this week? One action. Start small and send it. Number 1. The craft. Work on a scene without an audition schedule. Take a class. Run a rehearsal scene with a partner. Do a reading. Attend a workshop. The craft doesn't need an external trigger. And every hour you invest in your craft does two things simultaneously. One, it makes you better as an actor, and it builds self-efficacy, as we talked in episode 27. The mastery experiences that rebuild the internal model of who you are as an actor. Waiting without working on your craft is like playing Skyrim without doing any experience. You just wander in the game, and the first enemy that comes, boom, you will be crushed. So, when you're not working on your craft, when the big moment will finally show up, the big audition, the big casting, the opportunity, and you're not at your best, you're at the level of someone who hasn't been practicing. Number 2, connections. Reach out to a casting director that you admire, not to ask for a role, not to say, hey, look at my material, look at how good I am. Just to acknowledge their work. Follow up with the director you met at the workshop. Stay in touch with fellow actors. Attend industry events. The network doesn't build when you need it. It builds before you need it. And here's something very specific. The relationships you build during this time of waiting are more valuable than the ones you built actively trying to get something from them. People feel the difference when you need something from someone. Reaching out because you really want to connect, not because you need a favor. Build real professional relationships. Those are the ones to last. Those are ones to open doors when the time is right. Number 3, the material. Update your headshots, and you're gonna say, yeah, but I don't have the money to do new headshots. Okay, but there are some things you can do about your material that are free. Build, improve a website. Optimize your spotlight or filmmaker's profile. Update your CV. Build your showreel. These are concrete, measurable actions that improve the condition of entry for every opportunity that comes your way. The time to build your material is not when the casting comes, it's before. It's now, it's player mode, while you have the space and time to do it. Number 4, the content. Create whatever form it takes for you. A podcast, videos, scenes, writing, a social media presence, a blog, a YouTube channel, creating content about everything, cooking, your lifestyle, gardening, whatever. Creating content during a period of waiting does something that the other 3 don't do as directly. It builds your public identity as an actor. In 2026, an actor who doesn't have a digital presence is an actor who doesn't exist to a significant portion of the industry. Casting director look people up, directors look people up, producers look people up. What do they find when they look you up? And neurologically creative content is one of the most powerful action you can take. It combines the dopamine of creation with the accountability of publication. Every piece of content you put out is a signal in your brain and to the industry that you exist, you work, and you have something to say. Now, I want to zoom out, because what we are really talking about here, it's not only things to do, it's an identity shift. We talked about it in episode 27. The identity encoded in the prefrontal cortex, the one that the brain maintains and protects even when evidence suggests it should update. Most actors have built an identity around being reactive, waiting for the call, responding to opportunities, being chosen. And that identity, however understandable given how this industry works, creates a neurological configuration that is oriented toward passivity, toward NPC mode. The NPC doesn't choose to be an NPC. The program of the video game created them that way. But you're not a game code, you're a human. You have neuroplasticity. The same system that encoded the reactive identity can create a new one. The player identity is different. It says, I don't wait for permission to invest in my career. I create the conditions of my own opportunities. I build during the waiting, not after the waiting ends. I am the dragonborn of my own story, not a guard standing in Whiterun waiting for someone to walk past. Here's what the arc from episode 26 to episode 24 has been building toward. Every mechanism we've identified, nervous system, self-belief, jealousy reframe, fear of success, imposter syndrome, method acting, all of service in one shift from reactive to proactive, from waiting to building, from NPC mode to player mode. Bandura self-efficacy is built through mastery experiences. And mastery experiences don't come from waiting, they come from doing. Every proactive action you take during a waiting period is a mastery experience. It builds the evidence base your brain needs to update its model of who you are. The actor who waits has a brain shaped by the waiting. The actor who acts has a brain shaped by the acting. In an actor career, waiting is not the exception, it's the majority. How you use the in-between determines everything, not just practically, neurologically. So, do you want to use your DMN or your task-positive network? If you stay in the DMN, you stay in NPC mode, the one who needs external validation, that depletes dopamine, that reinforces temporal discounting and runs the same lines every single day? Or do you want to use the TPN and strengthen the identity of someone who creates their own momentum, maintains dopamine flow, overrides temporal discounting with small wins, and writes new lines every day? The actors who last are not the ones who get the most castings. They're the ones who use time between casting more intelligently. They build during the waiting. They invest during the silence. They create during the uncertainty. That's neuroscience. So, are you in NPC right now? Now you know what that means neurologically. The casting will come or it won't. That part is not fully in your control. But what you do today in craft, in relationships, in material, in content, that is entirely in your control. Stop waiting for the casting. The casting is not your career. What you build between casting is your career. You're not a Skyrim god. You're the dragonborn. Start acting like it. This week, one proactive action in each of the 4 domains, not just one. So 4 action in 1 week. Easy, right? This week, not when you feel like you're ready, not when the conditions are right, this week. Because done is better than perfect. Starting is better than waiting. And the neuroscience is very clear on this. The brain that acts is the brain that grows. Break the NPC loop, okay? So, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If this resonates with you, or if you know an actor that is in NPC mode, send them this episode. And if you want to support the channel, hit subscribe and allow notification. Until then, join the club because we all deserve happiness. Ciao.